Hey everyone, today we are going to be making udon noodles completely from scratch. So we're going to be making the noodles from scratch, we're going to be making a dough for it, then we're going to be making the soup broth with some dashi from scratch as well, and then some toppings. So yeah, it should all come together quite well, and hopefully you'll make a delicious udon noodle soup with beef toppings as well on top. But yeah, let's get started with making the dough, shall we? Let's go. Okay. To begin our udon noodles, we've got to make the noodles. So we've got to make the dough for it, which should be fairly straightforward and simple, but should make some good noodles from it. So let's get that started. Pretty simple, just flour, water, and a little bit of salt. That's all we need. So yeah, I'll bring them all out and we'll get started making this dough. Okay, we have our trusty or untrusty scale here. We're going to get our bowl. We're going to zero it. And we're going to get 400 grams of all-purpose flour, or plain flour, whatever you want to call it, 400 grams. We'll try and be as precise as possible. 403, I think the 3 grams over is fine. So that's our flour sorted. Then next, actually we'll first do 20 grams of salt. So 20 grams, oh come on. There we go, 20 grams of salt. All right, then 180 grams of water to this 20 grams. So it's all up, it's 20 grams, no, 200 grams together. And that's the ratio we need. There we go, all right. Perfect. We'll just dissolve the salt in the water to begin with, like that. All right, and let's get some chopsticks. I saw people use chopsticks before, and we are just gonna mix and gradually add the water until we use up all of the water, and if need be we'll add a little bit more water as well. So it should be a pretty hard dough by the end of it. So aim is to get all of the flour to be kind of wet and no dry flour basically. Now we'll just grab a little bit more water just in case. But it really shouldn't need any more water. Now we'll form a dough with it. Alright, I think we're pretty good. Just do a little bit more. Alright, I think that's what we are after. It doesn't have to be too kneaded through because of what we plan to do with it, I think. But it's all incorporated now, which is good. That's kind of what we want. Now we'll grab a nice Ziploc bag, which hopefully will be big enough for what we plan to do it later, and just leave a little bit open and we'll just let it rest for 30 minutes before we go on to the next step. So just to relax the glutens a little bit. See you in 30. Okay, we have let it rest for, about half an hour. So what we're going to do is what they do traditionally when making udon, and we're going to flatten out with our feet. I'm just going to put on the floor with between two tea towels. 2 tea towels. That in there, we'll close this up. And we are going to just knead it by stepping on it. Because I think it's quite firm, so this is an easy way of doing it apparently. I don't really know how it's meant to go, but we'll do the whole stepping method and see how it turns out. So we flattened it a little bit and then somehow bring it out, and then we just fold it all into the middle, that, and then we'll repeat the stepping down procedure. And we do this 5 times in total. So we've done 1, so 4 more times. So I'm just going to do this another 4 times. My 5th go of kneading it with my 5th round right here. So let's open it up. So that's the kneading done. And then we'll fold it up again. So after you've done it 5 times, it should be looking pretty supple, really, like that. Oh, look at that. Look at that kneading. Then we're going to stick it back in the bag, like so. And we will just let it rest for another 2 to 3 hours basically at this point. So this is the long rest. So we did a short rest before to just, relax glutens, and then after all this kneading, we need to give it another rest for 2 to 3 hours before we can finalize the noodles basically. So yeah, that's just going to be waiting around for a couple hours until we can make the noodles from it. So yeah, 2 to 3 hours roughly. We might prep some other stuff for the udon noodles beforehand though, before noodles like the dashi, and we'll see what we can prep beforehand in the meantime while we're waiting for the noodles and get everything going and sorted for the assembly. We shall see. So see you for the next part. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to be making the dashi for the udon kind of soup broth. As a part of that, we're going to make a dashi, which is pretty simple. So I'll just get our ingredients and induction hob. We'll make that. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, so to begin with, we have some konbu or dried seaweed there, and we also have some katsuboshi or dried bonito flakes as well. And we need 4 cups of water. 4 cups of water. Then we are just gonna kind of cut up the konbu into here, and then we're just gonna slowly bring it up to boil. So we're gonna start on the lowest setting, start off with, and then slowly bring it up until it, just before it gets to a boil, to like a simmer. And and if there's any kind of scum, we'll get rid of that as well. Just some dried seaweed, and we'll just slowly be increasing the heat. While we're waiting for the kombu to come up to a gentle boil, we'll just measure out our katsuboshi, and we want about a cup, roughly. Made a bit of mess. Okay, so it's coming pretty close to a gentle boil right now. Probably another 30 seconds or so. And I think that's pretty good. I think, that's a gentle boil right there. So we're going to get rid of our konbu. Let's just turn this down, like so. And now we add in our dried bonito flakes or katsuboshi. I'm not really sure how they pronounce it. Add that in, and now we just bring this to a boil, which it's pretty close to actually already. We'll just bring it to a boil. Then we'll simmer for 30 seconds. Just let it simmer for a little while, bring it back down. So I think a lot of the recipes have like gas stove stops, so bringing it up to a boil and that sort of stuff takes a while, and then doing all that. But with induction, everything is quick. We'll just let it simmer a little bit longer. I think it said 30 seconds simmer, and then that's about it. I don't know, that's around 30 seconds, I hope. I wasn't timing it. Then we'll just turn it off, and we'll just let it let it sit there for about 10 minutes or until the dried bonito flakes all sink to the bottom. So at the moment they're kind of, a little bit on the top and whatnot. But we'll just let it sit there till it sinks to the bottom, about 10 minutes. So I'll check it up in that 5 to 6 and see how it's going. And that's basically our dashi done. That is awase dashi, I think it's called, or I'm not sure the pronunciation exactly, but that's all we need to do for it. So the next step is just let it cool down, then sift it out into a container of some sorts, and that's the dashi done. Okay, we've let it sit for a little while. I presume that it is all good. So I'm just gonna siphon it into this container. Probably move this side so you get a little bit better view. And then we just squeeze out like so. And that's our dashi. Very cool. Smells good. Alright, on to the next step, which is to make our udon noodles. So I'll just clear this induction hob, get out of the way, and we'll start doing that. Okay, so here is our dough that's been resting for about 2.5 hours maybe almost 3 hours. What we're going to do is we're just going to coat the surface, we'll dry it off a little to begin with. Don't want it damp. Then we're going to get some cornstarch onto the work surface. You want to use cornstarch instead of flour because flour will integrate itself into the dough, and you don't want that apparently, is what I found. There's our dough, nice and relaxed now. And what we're going to do is roll it out. Probably would be nice having a little bit of a bigger rolling pin, but we're going to be rolling it out into a square rectangle sheet of about 3 mils thick. So quite thin, basically how thin we want the noodle to be. I think that's pretty good. So that's pretty thin. I think some thicker sides there, but not too bad. Then we're going to fold it into thirds like that. Now this is when having a bit more square and thin is good. And we'll grab a knife and we slice them into the same thickness as we rolled it out to. We'll stop halfway and we'll just get a bit of starch, and that's a pile of udon noodles. I am actually going to use a chopping board for the remainder, just because it feels better doing it this way. And then we'll get a bit more cornstarch and there we have some udon noodles. Pretty cool. They look like noodles. They look like udon noodles. I'm just going to separate this into 4 servings, roughly, because that's how much flour I used, was apparently for around 4 servings. I'd say, there we go, 4 servings of noodles. Containers here, and I'm just going to chuck them into a container and put them into the freezer. And then I can use them when I want to. Alright, and these go in the freezer, and I think they store it for about a week or so, maybe longer. I'm not sure, should double check. But yeah, there's some noodles, freshly made. So I'm just going to clean up a little. And what's the next step that we should do? I think we'll cook the noodles next, because the cooking noodles takes a little bit of time. Well, actually no, we'll prep some stuff first for toppings. Get that put to the side. Then we'll start cooking and heating up everything and like that. So yeah, I'm just going to wipe down this bench a little, and we'll head to the next step of my dinner. Okay, there really isn't too much to prep, because one of the ingredients I couldn't find was negi, which is this Japanese, I don't know, big onion looking thing. So yeah, I couldn't find that anywhere. So I'm just going to prep the spring onion. Okay, this is the spring onion all prepped. The only other thing we need to prep really is narutomaki. Yeah, narutomaki, which is fish cake. So I haven't really had this before, but we'll grab a few slices of this. Oh, this is so tough. Or maybe my knife needs to be sharpened. Okay, well there's one slice. Alright, that's our prep work done. They look cool though, I have to admit. Now bring the induction hob, and the rest of the stuff is literally just cooking up and assembly and stuff like that. So this is where the exciting stuff happens. So I'll be back with an induction hob, and I think we'll start putting it all together. Okay, so we'll start by putting some water to boil for the udon noodle, to cook the noodles. So yeah, just bring up a pot to boiling water basically, which shouldn't take too long. Okay, so the water's now boiling. Loosen up a little and chuck in our noodles. Chopsticks, and we'll just stir occasionally. And we cook this for 10 minutes. 10 minutes will get these noodles cooked. And you don't add any salt to the water or anything like that, because all the salt in the dough will bring it out, and there's enough salt and other stuff. So let this cook for about 10 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer, but no, that should be right. And I'll just stir occasionally as well. Okay, it's been about, I think it's been close to 12 minutes because of how, I think these are quite thick noodles. So I went closer to 12 minutes for it, and hopefully they are cooked. I probably should have checked anyway, but yeah, they feel good. Alright, and we're just going to put this in a colander and rinse it with cold water to get all that starch off. Okay, we have our noodles to the side there. Now, the next stuff shouldn't take too long. We should be eating in about 5 to 10 minutes, I think. We'll grab another pot, just a small one. Add about 1.25 cups of our dashi. Turn it on, and this is about 1.25 cups maybe. Yeah, that should be good. Just to warm up like the soup and the broth. And to this as well, we're gonna add about almost a tablespoon of soy, about 1/2 tablespoon of mirin. Chuck that in. And about 1/2 tablespoon of sugar, and then just a pinch of salt. And that's all we really need to add to this. That, and just a touch of salt. And then we'll just get this heated up a little and mixed together. So once the sugar's dissolved. All right, yeah, that's all we really need to do for that. And we'll just put a lid, and we'll just chuck a lid on that, and we'll just leave it to the side. So now our noodles are done. Our broth is done as well. Now, to just finalize the toppings. So I'm gonna be doing, beef-esque topping. So we're gonna put in a pan. We are going to add a nice amount of oil. And then we're gonna add in about a good amount of our, whatever you don't want whatever you don't want as garnish and topping on the actual soup. So I think, yeah, that's good. So we'll get this just to crisp up a little and brown a little. It shouldn't take too long at all. Then we have some sliced beef, so just a little bit longer. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then we'll add in some of our beef. Yeah, around that much. Should be fine. And because it's so thin, this should not take long at all. And then we're just gonna add a bit of soy, about maybe 1/2 cup of soy to this. Just as a little bit of extra seasoning. And then about just a pinch of sugar as well, just to get that little bit of sweetness. All right, we'll turn it off there because there's going to be a little bit of residual heat as well. There's our noodles, then in goes our soup. Fill that up nice. Then let's put in our, let's do it this way. Our beef, that's enough. Then our onions and our fish cakes. Oh my God. And the last thing we're gonna add is I found a bit of shichimi togarashi, which is a red pepper mix to give it a bit of spice. So we just add a bit of seasoned spice to it. And there we have it. Look at that. That just looks so good. All right. So I think it's definitely time to taste and see how we did with all the flavors. So yeah, I'll change position and let's get started. Let's see how I went. All right, there's our noodles. Unfortunately, I can't get a good view of it from this angle, but all right, well, let's give the broth a little bit of a taste test, shall we? Yeah, that's good. That reminds me of when I was in Japan. I had udon there. Very familiar. Bit more oily because I did tip a lot of the beef oil on top, so I got a lot of the oil. Now for the big taste test. That's good. That's good. I think that the noodles might be slightly too thick, I think, but it's got that chewy consistency you want from udon noodles. It's thick as well. Maybe slightly too thick, but yeah, the thick noodles is chewy, but not super chewy. It's still tender, like you chew a little bit and it just goes. And that little bit of red pepper seasoning just on top. It's not too bad. I won't say it hits very hard, the red pepper mix, but there's a little bit of seasoning there, which is quite good. But yeah, this is good. This is good. Making that dashi, that is what makes this udon dish. Udon is a very simple dish. It's just the dashi, the noodles, and then any toppings you want. So you don't have there's a lot often you don't have beef. You can have egg or just a spring onions as topping, fish cakes as topping, like just that, or just the super noodles if you keep it simple. But oh, this is good. I'm happy. But yeah, I think definitely the dashi is what makes this, and obviously the noodles. I rate this big. This is good. Exactly what I was hoping for. And I finally figured out how to make dashi, which is super simple and easy. So I'm not sure why I've never done it before. And yeah, let's try a fish cake, because I've never had a fish cake. Interesting. But yeah, that is homemade udon noodles completely from scratch. The only thing I didn't do from scratch is raise and grow all the ingredients needed and stuff like that. But basically, as from scratch you can do it, and it's pretty simple, really. You just gotta. The hardest part is maybe doing the dough, and even that doesn't take too long. And the noodles doesn't take too long. Dashi doesn't make too long, and the toppings take almost no time either. And you just get such a good dish. But yeah, that is homemade udon noodles from scratch. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment, say anything you want me to do. There is a few requests in the backlog already, so I'm gonna try and get to those when I have a good time to do them. Thank you all for watching, and peace out.